Hello, fellow YouTubers. This is your favorite history buff. We are traveling with history. Here's the short version of the presidential facts. Let us begin. George Washington never had any wooden teeth. He purchased dentures from slaves with their teeth. He also had ivory as part of his dentures. John Adams was the lawyer, the only one to represent the British soldiers during the Boston Massacre. He had all but two acquitted. Thomas Jefferson had a romance with a married woman named Maria Causeway, who was an Italian English painter. They exchanged letters. James Madison was the shortest president and the lightest one, being 5'4" tall and 100 pounds. Jason Rose, the only president with a foreign capital named after him. Monrovia, the capital of Liberia. John Quincy Adams, possibly the most educated man to assume the office, is the highest IQ. Andrew Jackson was prisoner of war during the Revolutionary War. He refused to clean the boots of a British soldier, who then scarred his hand and his face. Old Hickory had a grudge against the British since then. Martin Van Buren is the only president whose first language is not English. His first language was Dutch. He spoke English fluently. William Henry Harrison dropped out of medical school because he couldn't afford it, so he joined the military instead. John Tyler ended up joining the Confederacy near the end of his life. He died of a stroke before he could assume his seat in 1862. James K. Polk was considered the most boring president. Boring like me. Zachary Taylor was nominated for president without knowing for 3 weeks. He got a letter without a paid postage stamp. He refused to pay for it. Millard Fillmore married his own schoolteacher who was 2 years older than him. After she died, he married a rich widow, 13 years his junior. Franklin Pierce is the only president to keep everyone in his cabinet. Everyone else had to replace members. James Buchanan might have been gay. Some historians suspect that. Abraham Lincoln was in the Wrestling Hall of Fame. Matter of fact, he only lost 1 out of 300 matches. Pretty impressive. Andrew Johnson never had any formal education. His wife Eliza taught him to read and write. C.S. Grant has been known to be lenient, even towards Robert E. Lee, whom he saved from being charged with treason. Rutherford Burt Hayes never had alcohol served in the White House. His wife Lucy served lemonade instead. James Garfield was ambidextrous. He wrote Greek in one hand and Latin in the other. Chester A. Arthur was the first president accused of not being a natural-born citizen. Some accused him of being born in Canada, the others accused him of being born in Ireland. Grover Cleveland was the only president to marry in the White House. Frances Folsom was the daughter of his best friend and law partner. Grover Cleveland was 49 and Frances Folsom was 21. Benjamin Harrison was the first president to have electricity in the White House, though him and his wife feared it, so they did not use it. After his death, William McKinley's favorite flower, the scarlet carnation, was named the official flower of Ohio. Theodore Roosevelt was the only president to win the Medal of Honor. That was way after his death of 1919. President Bill Clinton awarded it to him. William Howard Taft is the only man to be both President of the United States and Chief Supreme Court Justice. Woodrow Wilson is the only president buried in the National Cathedral in Washington, D.C. Orange E. Harding was a gambler. He might have lost all to China and the White House in a poker game. Calvin Coolidge was the only president born on the 4th of July. Herbert Hoover was the only self-made millionaire to become president. He had a degree in geology. Franklin Delano Roosevelt set up a polio rehab center in Georgia. He had polio most of his life. Harriet Truman was hated by his own mother-in-law. She felt that no one was good enough for her daughter. While being the supreme commander of the Allied forces during World War II and being a World War I vet, Dwight D. Eisenhower never actually saw any combat. John F. Kennedy planned to be the first president to visit Japan, but he was assassinated by Lee Harvey Oswald before that could happen. His brother and Attorney General Robert F. Kennedy visited instead. Lyndon B. Johnson gained the name Landslide Johnson not from his presidential victory in 1964. He gained it from his Senate victory in 1948, which possibly could have been fraud. He nearly overcame Coke Stevenson, who contested fraud. Richard Nixon might be descendant of King Edward III of England, so he might be royal. Henry Ford was a male model. He had to do so in order to pay for his law school. Jimmy Carter watched over 400 films in the White House. He was a movie connoisseur. Ronald Reagan was a successful actor but never won an Oscar, much to his disappointment. Bill Clinton's get it done attitude is what inspired the personality of Sonic the Hedgehog. George Walker Bush is the only president with an MBA from Yale, and he also entered Harvard Business School. Barack Obama's first job was serving ice cream at a Baskin Robbins in Honolulu. Taught him responsibility, so he says. Donald Trump will not touch a single drop of alcohol. He despises the stuff ever since his older brother Fred Trump Jr. died of alcoholism. Joe Biden overcame a stuttering problem when he was a child. That's all I have for the short version. I hope you all enjoyed this.